Something about this moment felt different right from the start, and anyone paying attention could sense it immediately. Before we dive into the video, please like and subscribe and comment now. Let's get back to the video. Because what unfolded on live television that morning wasn't just awkward, it was explosive, and it challenged everything people assume about power, respect, and control on daytime TV. What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected and quietly admired actors finally reaches his breaking point with a television host who believes intimidation passes for journalism? What you're about to hear isn't a rumor or a backstage whisper. It's the moment Keanu Reeves stopped absorbing disrespect and calmly turned the tables in a way that left an entire studio frozen in disbelief. This all began as what was supposed to be a routine interview promotion, the kind viewers forget minutes after it ends, but within moments it spiraled into a confrontation. No producer could control and no audience could look away from. The morning started calmly inside the Today Show studio. Keanu Reeves arrived early, just as he always did, prepared to talk about his latest film project and nothing more. He sat quietly in the green room area, reviewing a few talking points while sipping coffee from a plain paper cup, relaxed and focused, not demanding attention or special treatment. The makeup team finished quickly, and Keanu thanked them with genuine smiles, even stopping to exchange a few light comments with crew members passing by. There was no ego, no impatience, just quiet professionalism that everyone around him noticed. Then Craig Melvin walked onto the set, clipboard in hand, carrying himself with an air that immediately shifted the mood in the room. He didn't acknowledge Keanu at first, barely glanced in his direction, and instead barked instructions at production assistants while flipping through his notes. The contrast between the two men couldn't have been more obvious. One moved with calm confidence, the other with restless authority, and people watching from the sidelines could already feel the tension building. 30 seconds to air, the floor director called out. Craig finally took his seat across from Keanu and made eye contact for the first time. "All right, Keanu, this should be straightforward," he said flatly. "A few questions about your new movie, maybe touch on your personal life. Just follow my lead and we'll get through this quickly." Keanu nodded politely, but there was a brief flicker across his face that didn't go unnoticed. "I appreciate the opportunity, Craig," he replied. "I'm here to talk about the film and the incredible work the cast and crew put into it." Sure, Craig waved him off dismissively. "We'll see where the conversation goes." The red light came on, and Craig's demeanor snapped into his on-air persona instantly. "Good morning, I'm Craig Melvin, and today we're joined by actor Keanu Reeves. Keanu, thanks for being here." "Good morning, Craig. Thank you for having me," Keanu responded calmly. Without easing in, Craig leaned forward and struck hard. "Your new film has been getting mixed reviews. Some critics are calling it a vanity project. How do you respond to that?" The aggressive opening caught everyone off guard. Keanu paused briefly before answering, clearly choosing his words carefully. "I wouldn't describe it that way. This project brought together an incredible team of artists who worked hard to tell a meaningful story, and audience response has been very positive." Craig smirked and pressed further. "But at your age, aren't you just trying to stay relevant in an industry that's moved on? You're pushing 60. How long can this really last before it gets embarrassing?" The studio fell unnaturally quiet. Cameras hummed. Crew members stopped moving. Everyone felt it. Keanu adjusted slightly in his chair, his posture shifting just enough to signal a change. "I've never approached my work from desperation," he said evenly. "I choose projects that matter to me. Age has never been the deciding factor." Craig chuckled, enjoying the discomfort he was creating. "Come on, how many more action movies can you realistically do before it looks ridiculous?" Keanu's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "I find it interesting that you're focused on my age rather than the work itself," he replied. "Experience and perspective matter in any profession, including yours." "Experience is fine," Craig scoffed. But relevance is another story. When was the last time you had a real box office hit without nostalgia carrying it? I think we define success differently, Keanu answered. Numbers matter, but they aren't the only measure of value or contribution. Art? Craig mocked. Let's be honest. Most of your recent roles feel the same. Same character, different set. Are you just coasting now? That was the moment the tone shifted for good. Keanu leaned back slightly and studied Craig with a new intensity. I'm curious, he said slowly. What exactly are you trying to accomplish with these questions? Because it sounds less like journalism and more like provocation. Craig grinned. I ask what others are too starstruck to ask. Viewers deserve honesty, not celebrity puff pieces. Honesty, Keanu repeated. Or are you confusing rudeness with journalism? A ripple of unease moved through the studio. Assistants exchanged looks. The producer whispered urgently into her headset. This was spiraling fast. Look, Craig said patronizingly, you're used to soft interviews where everyone treats you like a saint. This is real television. I don't expect special treatment, Keanu replied firmly. But I do expect professionalism. There's a difference between challenging questions and personal attacks. Craig laughed sharply. If you can't handle scrutiny, maybe publicity isn't for you. The scrutiny isn't the issue, Keanu said coldly. Your need to belittle people to feel important is. Craig's expression darkened instantly. Excuse me? Remember who's hosting this show? Respect, Keanu replied quietly, is earned, Craig. And right now, you're not earning much. The studio atmosphere snapped tight, and everyone knew they were watching something that couldn't be walked back. Craig's face flushed instantly, the color rising as if the comment had struck deeper than he expected. He leaned forward, dropping any remaining pretense of calm. I've been doing this job for over 15 years, he snapped. I've interviewed presidents, world leaders, people who actually matter. I don't need a lecture from an aging action star about respect. Keanu didn't move. His voice stayed, steady, almost quiet, which somehow made it sharper. And yet you're using that platform to attack instead of inform, he said. 15 years. And this is what you've learned, to tear people down instead of having meaningful conversations? Meaningful? Craig scoffed, raising his voice. What's meaningful about promoting another generic shoot-them-up movie? You come in here acting like some kind of artist, but let's be real, you're just another actor cashing checks. The camera operators glanced at one another nervously, unsure whether to keep rolling or look away. The producer was now fully visible off-camera, gesturing frantically, trying to rein things in before it completely detonated. You seem to have a very narrow definition of art, Keanu replied evenly. And an even narrower definition of professionalism. I came here in good faith, to talk about a project dozens of people worked hard on. Turning this into a personal attack says more about you than it does about me. Craig laughed, but it sounded hollow and strained. Good faith? Please. You actors show up, read your rehearsed lines, take your publicity, and leave. Don't pretend this is anything more than business. If that's what you believe, Keanu said slowly, then why did you become a journalist? If every interview is hollow, what's the point of what you do? That question landed hard. Craig's jaw clenched, his eyes narrowing as irritation turned into something more personal. The point is to cut through nonsense and get to the truth, he snapped. Something Hollywood people avoid. And what truth is that? Keanu asked calmly. That you can bully guests on live television. That discomfort equals credibility. Because if that's your version of truth, Craig, it's pathetic. The word hit the studio like a shockwave. Several crew members stopped cold, staring openly now. Even the hum of the cameras felt louder. Did you just call me pathetic? Craig hissed. On my own show? I called your behavior pathetic, Keanu replied. There's a difference. I'm starting to think you don't see it. Craig shot up from his chair, his microphone scraping loudly, sending harsh feedback through the studio. "That's it. Get out. This interview is over." But Keanu didn't move. He remained seated, calm, unshaken. "Actually, Craig, I don't think it is over. You wanted truth. Let's talk about truth." "Sit down, Craig," Keanu continued quietly, his voice carrying authority without volume. "You started this conversation. Let's finish it." Craig hesitated, looking around, suddenly aware of the dozens of eyes locked onto him. "You don't tell me what to do in my studio," he snapped, though the confidence had drained from his voice. "I'm not telling you," Keanu said. "I'm suggesting that if you want to act like a professional, you should probably sit down. Unless you want to continue this tantrum in front of your crew and viewers." That word, tantrum, landed hard. Craig could feel the embarrassment radiating from the room. Slowly, reluctantly, he sat back down. "Fine," Craig muttered, "but don't think I'm letting you flip this on me." "I'm not flipping anything," Keanu replied. "I'm responding to the energy you brought into the room. You came in with an agenda and now you're upset it didn't work." "My agenda is real questions," Craig snapped, "not soft celebrity nonsense." "Real questions?" Keanu repeated. "You haven't asked one. You've made accusations, insulted my work, questioned my relevance and dismissed the people who made this film. That's not journalism." Craig opened his mouth, but Keanu continued. "A real question would be about the themes of the film, the challenges of production, or why the story mattered. Instead, you chose age and box office numbers like they're the only things that count." The studio was completely silent now. No shuffling, no whispers, just tension thick enough to feel. "Don't lecture me," Craig snapped. "You pretend to be other people for a living. You don't get to tell me how to do my job." "You're right," Keanu said with a slight nod. "I am an actor, but I'm also a human being who deserves basic respect. And right now, you're failing to show that respect to me, your crew, and your audience." Craig's hands shook as he gripped the edge of the desk. "You want respect? How about respecting the fact that I'm doing my job?" "What job is that exactly?" Keanu asked quietly. "Because it looks like you're creating drama instead of serving your viewers." That question drained the air from Craig's posture. He sat there, stunned, scrambling for footing that wasn't there anymore. "You think you're clever," Craig muttered, "psychoanalyzing me on my own show. This is Hollywood arrogance." Keanu shook his head slowly. "This isn't arrogance, it's disappointment. I expected professionalism. Instead, I found someone who seems to enjoy humiliating people." "That's not journalism," he added firmly. "That's cruelty." The crew remained frozen, watching a moment no one could stop and no one would forget. "Cruelty," Craig repeated, his voice cracking just slightly. "I'm doing my job. I'm asking what needs to be asked." "No, Craig," Keanu replied firmly. "You're hiding behind your job to justify behavior you know is wrong. There's a difference between tough questions and personal attacks, and you crossed that line the moment you tried to humiliate me on live television." The production crew stood frozen, unsure whether to intervene or keep recording what was quickly becoming a career-defining moment. The producer had stopped signaling entirely and was now watching in stunned silence, fully aware that whatever happened next could not be undone. Craig tried to regain control, straightening his jacket and forcing a laugh that convinced no one. "If you can't handle a little heat, maybe stick to those interviews where everyone praises you. This is real television." "Real television," Keanu repeated slowly, almost thoughtfully. "You're right, Craig. This is real television. This is what happens when someone finally calls out behavior that usually gets excused because it happens behind a smile." Craig's face twisted with anger. "You don't know anything about me or my career. I've broken major stories. I've held powerful people accountable. I've made a difference." "Then why waste that ability tearing down someone who came here in good faith?" Keanu asked. "If you're truly interested in accountability, why not hold yourself to the same standard?" The words landed heavy. Craig opened his mouth, closed it, then tried again. My ego? He spat. This from someone who's made millions playing the same role over and over. Keanu leaned forward slightly, his calm now carrying unmistakable weight. You're on national television right now, Craig. Your crew is watching. Your audience is watching. And instead of recognizing that this has gone too far, you're doubling down. If that's not ego, he continued evenly, then I don't know what is. The silence that followed felt endless. Craig glanced around the studio, and for the first time, it looked like reality was setting in. No one was backing him up. No one was laughing. No one was stepping in to save him. You know what? Craig snapped, his voice shaking with rage. I don't have to sit here and take this from a washed-up actor who thinks he's better than everyone else. Washed up? Keanu repeated, raising an eyebrow. A moment ago, you criticized me for still working. Now, I'm washed up. Which is it? Because it sounds like you're just throwing insults and hoping something sticks. Craig stood again, this time deliberately pointing toward the studio exit. This interview is over. Security, escort him out. But Keanu didn't move. Actually, Craig, he said quietly, I think your viewers deserve to see how this ends. You started this confrontation. Now you want to shut it down instead of facing the consequences. This is my show, Craig shouted. My studio, my rules. And this is your reputation, Keanu replied, which you're destroying with every sentence. Craig looked desperately toward the control booth, silently pleading for a commercial break that never came. The cameras kept rolling. The red light kept blinking. There was nowhere to hide. You think you're untouchable, Craig said bitterly. You think people liking your movies gives you the right to disrespect me in front of my team. I haven't disrespected you, Keanu said calmly. I refuse to let you disrespect me. There's a difference. That distinction seemed to break something in Craig. Get out, he screamed, pointing again. Get out of my studio right now. Keanu stood slowly, every movement controlled and deliberate. I'll leave, Craig, he said, but not because you're shouting. I'll leave because this conversation has run its course. And because, he added, I have better things to do than watch you dismantle your own credibility. As Keanu walked toward the edge of the set, Craig called after him, his voice cracking with desperation. Don't walk away from me. We're not finished. Keanu paused and turned back one last time. Actually, Craig, he said quietly, we are finished. And judging by what just happened, so might you be. Those words hung in the air like a verdict. Keanu exited calmly, leaving Craig standing alone under the studio lights, breathing hard, eyes darting, fully aware that millions had just watched him unravel. The crew remained frozen. No applause, no chatter, just the blinking red light capturing every second of Craig's silence as the weight of what had happened settled in. Craig looked around, his authority gone, his confidence shattered. His show, his image, his carefully constructed persona had all cracked in real time because one guest refused to be bullied. And here's where the story stops being clean. Because some viewers didn't see a journalist exposed. Some saw a host finally asking real questions. Others saw an actor overstep boundaries on a show that wasn't his. Social media exploded, not with clarity, but with division. Clips were edited. Context was stripped. Sides were chosen instantly. Some praised Keanu for standing his ground. Others accused him of hijacking a broadcast. And Craig, he didn't apologize. He didn't clarify. He went silent. No statement, no explanation, just silence. And that silence raised the most uncomfortable question of all. Was this a rare moment of accountability on live television, or just another example of conflict being repackaged as entertainment? Because if respect truly has to be earned, then maybe the real issue isn't who won that confrontation. Maybe it's why moments like this only happen when someone finally refuses to play their assigned role. And that leaves one final question hanging, unanswered and unsettling. If this is what live television becomes when the script breaks, How much of what we see every day is real at all?